Hi, I'm Portrait XO, and I am here today to talk a bit about neurosynthesis. I am an interdisciplinary artist. I started with classical piano training, and my obsession with electronic music production is what led me to my obsession with music gear, music technology, and where I am now working with AI and new media. So, I'd like to start off with talking about two really strong emotions that I have found myself experiencing, and also with other musicians when I've talked about new technology. And that is fear and fascination. And what's really interesting is how sometimes when there is a new technological advancement, we have this fascination and curiosity and interest in it. At the same time, sometimes there are feelings of fear that this new technology might replace an old technology and maybe along with it, replace or get rid of old approaches and jobs. But we have seen throughout history that this isn't always the case. The acoustic piano and synthesizers are both used in music production and live performance, and they've simply proved that there are just two different ways of expressing and creating in a similar but different way. And we could say the same about guitars. Acoustic guitars and electric guitars are similar approaches, but one hasn't replaced and gotten rid of the other. They both still exist. And so I found myself very curious about these similar feelings around AI. What is AI? What does it actually do? And I think most of us, when we think about AI, we have an image in our heads maybe similar to this. AI has this possibility and ability to really prove as a interesting tool for self-reflection, and it can be the most intimate way for humans to understand our own selves, at least through data. And I really wanted to explore a little bit deeper into my own feelings of fear and fascination with AI, and lift the hood and understand what does it mean to even work with data in the first place, and what does it look like, what could it sound like. And what has been really interesting throughout my research was to understand the limitations of the technology. So while I think it's really interesting and important to see how far our human imagination can go and the actual possibilities of these fear-based thoughts and emotions, I think it's also interesting and important to understand the limitations of the technologies. And I have found a lot of creative inspiration in learning the limitations. So last year, I started my artist residency at Factory Berlin, which I finished earlier this year, and I focused on computational creativity and human-machine collaboration. And so here, my project partner, CJ Carr, and I decided to feed 1 hour of my vocals from previous songs into his custom neural network that then produced 10 hours of new audio over 2.5 days. So CJ Carr is also a musician and a data scientist, and he specializes in machine learning with raw audio. And so just to give you some samples of what this journey sounded like and felt like, here is one audio clip from the first day, and this is one of the earlier audio clips. So a lot of distortion, a lot of noise, but creepy sounding. Almost sounds like a ghost in the machine, and you can tell there's like a human voice trying to come out, but not quite. Middle of day one, we started to get some more melodic content. Towards the end of day one, we started getting a bit more clarity and some lyrical content. By day two, we started getting clearer audio with longer phrases. So, what's been really interesting about this project was listening to 10 hours of audio like this. First of all, 5 to 10% of it was actually usable with audio clips like this, where there were actual lyrical and melodic content. And while it didn't create full, long enough phrases where you could hear a cohesive melody or a lyric, it it created a new approach to songwriting that I didn't predict to come out of this. I actually didn't know what would end up, what would the discoveries be at the end of this research project. And what ended up happening was this game of fill in the blank, because AI wasn't smart enough to create these full phrases, and also sometimes the audio that came out, it sounded like words, but not always, and it was a bit of combination of gibberish and full words. And so this fun game of fill in the blank is an approach that we decided to use for Eurovision's first ever AI song contest that they did earlier this year. And we helped Germany win the jury vote, which was really exciting. And they awarded us based on the most creative use of AI. We decided to use as many custom neural networks that DataBots really wanted to push, to really find out how far we could go with the creative use of AI. And so here is a little sample of the song. And one approach that we took was feeding his AI model, or DataBot's AI model, with a bunch of songs from 1950s of Eurovision songs. And I decided to co-write in a duet fashion.
However you come, I'm kind of fun. Forward fuck, I panic to say, oh, come, come, come. What ruthless crime? What pumpkin? What pumpkin?
You can hear the entire track on YouTube and Spotify. It's probably one of the weirdest songs I've ever been part of. It's got like death metal in it and some weird, strange pop EDM. And we got some really interesting reactions and new dialogue and new narratives. And the Eurovision jury team were invited to write about the contest, which was featured in Google's Magenta Team's blog, which you can read more about to find out some deeper insights of some of our approaches. And then a few months ago, I really wanted to dive a little deeper into creating a much more tangible, like a physical experience of this data. And so I collaborated with another interdisciplinary artist named Sibeli Cavalli Bastos, and Instagram's Spark AR platform recently, around that same time, released this ability to introduce audio into Instagram filters in a new way. So we decided to create this filter where we showcase 3 of the AI audio samples, and you can glitch the visuals and the audio at the same time. You're more than welcome to visit my Instagram page where you can try it out. And I will close this presentation with my one GitHub contribution, which is a nice one. I like to talk about because it also ties into how my obsession with creating physical experience all started, and I hope to contribute more exciting projects to GitHub. This was a hackathon that I participated in back in 2018 at USC called Creating Reality, and we won the grand prize. And winner of AR and VR for good category. And for the project, we decided to give people an experience using HoloLens, translating colors into sounds the way I experience colors and sounds. So you could like tap different colors with your fingers. And that was a really fun experience to have because I'm not a coder, I'm not a developer, but I'm very much inspired by code. And it time and time again, technology has constantly proved to be so inspiring because they've helped to create these new ways to express and communicate the way I experience senses. And my very, very last thought about technology and AI is I hope that tools will become more accessible and AI will become more democratized for creatives to work with them. And I hope to see more creative work because I do think that it's really important, especially now with AI, that we open ourselves up a bit more and stay curious and remember that technology is simply here to be different methods and different tools to help create and sometimes not even just for creativity but even in a much more practical sense. And somehow in the context of AI we've somehow lost a little bit of this narrative that AI can serve as very interesting and inspiring ways and methods to creating. So this is how you can reach me on social media, mainly on Instagram and my email address. Thank you, GitHub, so much for your time. I will now switch cameras to go into performance. I am going to perform 3 tracks off of my upcoming AI album, which I've created during my Factory Berlin residency. Thank you again.
Say I hear something. I'm standing into
And here into the pit reactor. The silence between. I can't speak. I can't speak. Another real This is what it feels like, sitting on a wire. Hey, this is what it feels like, sitting on a this is what it feels like, sitting on a line. Silence between. I can't speak. I can't speak. Another Thank you very much, GitHub. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your program.